All right, this essay is built around the word play, and I apologize in advance for my most likely mispronunciation of Old English, Middle Dutch, and German terms. Play. From the Old English plegen, meaning to move lightly and quickly, to busy oneself, to frolic, to perform music. From the Middle Dutch playen, meaning to rejoice, to be glad. From the German pflegen, meaning to take care of and cultivate, which some linguists believe is possibly connected to the verb plight, as in to make a solemn pledge. Playing the piano, that's what he meant to say. I'm going to be playing the piano for you today. But instead, in his shivering, quivering 13-year-old voice, sometimes like a squeaky wheel, other times as deep as a canyon, he misspoke, nervously using the letter R as opposed to the intended L, and said, I'm going to be praying the piano for you today. The congregation squirmed in its collective vicarious embarrassment, and the young man hesitated 2, maybe 3 seconds, most likely wondering if he should repeat the word but correctly, or if doing so would only bring more attention to his slip of tongue. In that moment, though, he must have realized he did not need words to say what he wanted to say, because without another one, he did an about-face from the pulpit, sat down at the piano, took one calming breath. Every good boy deserves fudge. Every good boy deserves fudge. Then extended his fingers and prayed the devil out of the thing, so to speak, offering instead his song as a wordless prayer to the Lord. Looking back, isn't that how some of the most powerful prayers go? Quick and wordless and get thee hence, Satan? Which is why measure after measure and across the quarter notes and the whole notes and the crescendos and the decrescendos, I found my thoughts so easily wandering to the many times I too played and prayed and prayed and played, as if there was ever a difference between the two. Like in elementary school, where I learned to play the violin and where I first learned phrases like every good boy deserves fudge to help me read sheet music. Or later, after giving up the violin, an answer to my family's prayers, no doubt, when I prayed at recess on the jungle gym and up and down the basketball court and by the swings, but always around Kyla Cecile, to whom I had, by way of a box of chocolates and a giant Hershey kiss, once pledged my undying devotion. Praying, ever praying, hoping she'd notice me and fall in love and want to hold my hand and agree to share a kiss and maybe after school on the corner by the play shed and in front of a giggling crowd, swap gum in the process. Even though I didn't have a single earring or work my hair into a side spike or wear my overalls with one strap hanging loose and wasn't nearly as cool as Ryan Hebert, who ended up doing all those things with her and more, and around whom I refused to pray ever again. Or in junior high, long after I had given up on Kyla and dedicated my time instead to basketball, when I prayed my hardest in the hopes of making the team, and then again in my backyard, in my after-school clothes, in my disappointment after I did not. Throwing up prayers from half court, shot after shot after shot. Clang, 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 swish. Reminding myself over and over again that Michael Jordan got cut from his school team too, and that not all of Jesus's prayers were answered either. Which is actually saying a lot, because Jesus threw up some doozies that one night in the garden. 33 years old, the rock of our salvation slumped over a rock, surrounded by olive trees cultivated from cuttings, asking for the bitter cup to pass. And I don't know what it means, but almost 2,000 years later, Michael Jordan put up 33 points in his garden debut, calling for the pass, taking the rock to the cup again and again and again on his way to becoming the greatest of all time. Or my senior year of high school, when I participated in the fall production of South Pacific and was quite comfortable with my 2 lines and my back row seat in the chorus, only to receive in the early morning hours on the day of the final performance A call from the director, who was in a panic because one of the leads had fallen ill and she had no one else to turn to. And would you please learn all of his lines by this evening? I will forever be in your debt. You can do it. You will do it. I will pray for you. And she must have, along with countless others seated before the stage on which I stood, sick and trembling, because I did it. And it turned out to be some enchanted evening. But it is with a pit in my stomach still that I recall over the next several hours after that call how my friend and I strapped on our rollerblades and skated around the cul-de-sac with hockey sticks, reciting lines for hours and hours, all while asking that both the puck and this bitter cup be passed. And then there was college, where I have to admit I prayed more than I studied. So for the purpose of this essay, I won't say much about my time there, except that I passed and that not long before graduating, I met a girl who, unlike Kyla, did not pass on me. Not at first, anyway. Which led to 20 years of marriage and 4 really good boys, meaning they are really good at being boys, and with whom and over whom I've prayed countless times. But none more desperate than those prayers uttered and sometimes shouted on their behalf that first year after the divorce, when at various times they fell into my arms sobbing and sometimes bleeding, pleading for the pain to go away. And all I could do was hold them through their crescendos of doubt and anger, and kiss their heads or necks or shoulders, then summon the strength to find the faith, just enough faith, please, to make before them this solemn promise. In this our plights cannot remove the heavy or the hurt or the hard. Not right now anyway. But somehow we will get through this, somehow. And in the years to come, I swear to you, we will be able to look back and see cultivation from the cuts. This is our garden debut, boys. This is our pulpit, our jungle gym, our backyard court. This is our stage under the lights, and it may prove to be our finest moment yet. Which brings me back to the piano, which my oldest once prayed over in the midst of a tornado warning, and over which many prayed, wondering when it would end. The tornado, that is, and not his performance, and about which I wrote this piece, the piano recital. In the midst of a tornado warning, because the show must go on, but with a few more attending than normal, dripping there in the corner, taking shelter from the storm, and now from the table a cookie, pretending to critique my son's performance of hot cross buns, bemused by his fingers as they pound on the keys like a wind from which no one can escape, then adding to my applause, thunderous as it were, the tepid, sad pitter-patter of their own. All while the weather outside keeps howling and his mother begins to weep as if this were his 6th and final symphony, and because out of suffering she knows something beautiful is coming. Which last point was proven not long after the final note faded, when my 3 younger boys, who had struggled mightily during the entire concert, and who felt like their pleas for deliverance and relief went largely unanswered, did an about-face and made a mad dash for the exit, only to discover, to their excitement, just outside the concert hall door, a table overflowing with desserts of one kind or another. Because, in the end, I guess every good boy does deserve fudge.